Join us, the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast, on a journey where we delve into the heart of the matters that truly make a difference. Our mission is to create a platform where we can openly discuss topics that often go unnoticed or unexplored. We aim to shed light on these crucial issues and have meaningful conversations. We invite you to tune into our podcast, where we will explore the depths of these subjects and let our hearts guide the conversation. Together, we can create a space where everyone's voice is heard and where we can collectively work towards a better future. Welcome, everyone, to the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast. I am your host, Nia Imani, and I have the pleasure of interviewing this beautiful lady on the screen, my friend, the powerful Jessi Sheridan. Hi, Jessi.
Hi, Nia. Thanks for having me.
Of course. You guys, she is literally a powerful, impactful, just powerhouse, but she's so humble. So I'm going to read to you why she's such an amazing woman, and then we're going to get into the amazing questions. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. Jessi Sheridan is a dynamic leader, coach, and visionary with over 16 years, and she looks like she's 18, 19, of diverse professional experience. She is the founder of Habituelle, a pioneering storytelling platform dedicated to empowering women leaders in Philadelphia. Jessi has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to supporting women's leadership development. Driven by a profound belief in the power of female solidarity, this beautiful lady is on a mission to empower women to define their purpose, realize their potential, and lean into their power. She believes that when women support each other, there are no limits to what they can achieve. Amen. Beyond her professional endeavors, she finds joy in teaching yoga, passionately cheering on Philadelphia sports teams, maybe the champions, maybe, exploring new restaurants, and spending time with her husband, Connor, and her beautiful daughter, Elle, whose inspiration gave rise to the very essence of Habituelle. My first question is, who do you say you are?
Well, great question, because I feel like myself and many others always start off with what they do professionally. And I am so much more than what I do for my income. And so, I am a mom. I am a partner. I am a Philadelphia community member. I am a daughter. All of these hats that I wear. And then I can get to what I do for a living, which is being a creator. I am at my core a creator. I light up when I am creating new opportunities, new ways for people to connect, new ways for learning. So that's who I am. But to your earlier statement, I'm also a crazed Philadelphia sports fan. If I could have any other career that, you know, with, a magic wand, I would be a sports reporter on the sidelines of games. I don't have a desire to actually do that, but I love sports. I love the community that it creates, and I love the passion that comes through during those games. And it's fun to connect with other people here in Philadelphia over that common love.
I love that. I love that. Now, Habituelle. How did you create the name, and tell us about the power of it?
Yes. Well, going back, I have always, my whole career has been in leadership development, whether it's women, men and women, whether it's college students, whether it's young professionals or seasoned professionals. I have always had a passion for helping people realize their full potential. And I was about 14 years into my career, maybe a little less, And I just started feeling a little itchy. Like, what am I doing? We're just coming out of a pandemic. I have a 2-year-old at home. I am sick with COVID, and I'm having this like existential realization that I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I want to be doing more. I'm feeling sort of helpless coming out of Roe v. Wade just being overturned. I'm a little lost in my career, and I'm sick with COVID, lying there thinking, what am I going to do? What do I want to be doing? This is not it. And I thought, well, I am a curious person. I can start asking people questions. And what would that look like if I started giving folks a platform to share their story? Because there's so much power in storytelling. And I knew I had a good network here in Philadelphia that someone would say yes if I said, can I interview you and share your story? Well, sure enough, it took off after creating the name, which took some time because I feel like everything I was thinking about was kind of corny. I wanted to get my daughter's name, Elle, in the title, but everything was a little bit, corny or funny. But then one day I realized as I was doing something habitual in my own life, that habits have such power to allow us to be successful. And again, success being the definition for which I decide
Mm,
success, how that's defined. So habitual meaning, of course, the habits that we do daily, weekly, monthly, whatever the cadence to allow us to be successful, but also ha leadership as
mm,
a habit. So how can we show up for ourselves and show up for others habitually that allow us to create this beautiful life that is ahead of us? So Habituelle was formed 2022 as a storytelling platform. And in the first year, I had no goals, just however many women said yes. I ended up interviewing 93 women in that first year and 93 plus hours of storytelling and sharing. And I realized after the year that I wasn't ready to stop doing that. And so I just kept going. We're on year 3 now. I just crossed over the 183rd person that I've interviewed. And I don't really see it stopping because I enjoy it.
mm.
I will tell you that if it started to feel like a burden, that's when I would say, okay, put the laptop down, we're done. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm also seeing how it's creating this ripple effect in this community in Philadelphia, which is a big city. But I'm trying my hardest to make it feel smaller, more connected, and more supportive. And so I'm seeing that power happen amongst women where they're meeting each other at a habitual event, or they're reading what each other's writing, or through their interview content, and it's bringing people together. And so that gives me the energy to keep going. And I'm like, we're doing something here. And it's a really beautiful thing that gives me a lot of joy. And is up to this point very much a hobby, but it's starting to take off, and I'm starting to see different routes for which it could go to be something even larger than just a storytelling platform.
I love that. So twofold questions. Who do you decide that you're going to interview?
Hmm.
And what's the purpose? What's the strength in storytelling?
Hmm. So at first I was interviewing my friends. I was like, anybody want to share their story? And of course people did, because at the root of storytelling, people want to be seen and heard. And there's a lot of power in sharing your story, feeling seen and heard, and then being the person who gets to share that out with the world, to say, hey, you're not alone. Listen to their story. Listen to what they went through and how they got to the other side. Everyone has a story, and you'd be surprised how many people sit down, or when I ask them, "Hey, can you come on, will you interview with me?" They'll say, "Well, I don't really know if I have a great story." But everyone has a story. And so at this point, I've gone from interviewing people in my inner circle to complete strangers that are recommended to me. And so when you sit down with me, the last thing I'll ask is, when are there any other women in your orbit that you think would be have a great story and you think would be a great interview? Please recommend them to me. And it's this beautiful web that just keeps growing. I should have probably made like a web to follow where everybody has come from, but it's a really beautiful network that's forming because once I interview someone and they recommend someone else, that feels good to be recognized. And that feels good that someone thinks that you're a leader, and have a great story. So it's just uplifting all around. And again, some people feel like their story isn't worth telling, but by the end of that hour, they feel seen and heard and know that they have a powerful story to share. And so it's storytelling brings people together. Since the dawn of time, we sat around and told stories, and now we're doing it in these different platforms, which is really beautiful. And to feel less alone in your journey, that's what keeps us going. And in a world where there's so much isolation, let's talk about the real talk, share what's really happening, and so that people feel less alone in their journey.
Mm. Mm. You've always been a leader. Is it one of your goals? Because you keep hitting on, some people keep saying, some women keep saying, I don't have a story, but by the end they realize that they do. Is
Mhm.
that your goal, just for women to realize their strength, realize their power,
Yeah.
and then maybe even tap into that after
Yeah.
the interview?
Yeah. I think it's my superpower. I was put on this planet to help people realize their full potential. And I do that through listening to what people say, hearing what they're saying, but also what is the unspoken, and then calling that to the table. I love when people express emotion. It's oftentimes it's sad, like tears, whether that's sad or happy tears. But usually it's because I've struck a chord. I've asked a question that gets them really thinking about something that's important to them. Getting chills thinking about it, of all the times where I've had women get emotional in these interviews, and it's almost like, yes, I got it, because that's what I want. I want them to realize, wow, I am amazing. I am a badass sitting right here. I have such a story to share. And you mentioned in my intro, being humble, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it works against me. And I say that because the positive of being humble is that I don't ever feel the need to be the one at the top. I don't ever feel the need to be the one at the wheel. I would rather put you at the wheel and be your coach and your guide right beside you in the passenger seat, because it doesn't take anything away from me for you to be in the passenger seat. I love lifting women up. I love sharing their accolades, their awards. And I guess because I've never felt, while I am competitive with my Philly sports, I am not competitive with other women, because there's enough to go around. There's enough money, there's enough space, there's enough time, there's enough resources and energy. And so I've never seen women as other women as competition to me. I see it as, if we come together, we can rise higher. So, I think that's really at its essence something that, if I can help women see their potential, because we don't see it unless someone tells us, gives us feedback, unless we're really doing the hard work to like hold up the mirror to ourselves. Oftentimes we need someone else to tell us what they see in us, and if I can be that person, that brings me great joy.
Where do you get that from? Is it your upbringing? Like how? Because I feel like some women, and maybe it's because they feel insecure. So I've
Yeah.
heard of, well, these women always clash when they're together, or this and that. But like, I guess if you realize your strength and know how important you are, and that nobody can take that away,
Mhm.
then maybe
Yeah.
it wouldn't be cattiness. But to your core, do you get this from your upbringing?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I come from very humble upbringing. My mom and dad really instilled in my sister and I, do good work, lead, go after what makes your heart happy. Money isn't everything. Be good to people, be kind. We're raised in the church, and so giving back to others and just living the path that you want to live on and chasing after what fills you up versus what drains you out. And so I would say that was definitely rooted in my sister and I at a young age. And I do habitual and she is a teacher. And so we're both kind of givers by nature, which again can sometimes you can give too much. So making sure you have those boundaries, but really taking stock in what's important to you. And that was definitely something taught at a young age. To the confidence piece, I do think it comes down to to understanding your self-worth and understanding what value you bring to the world. I don't know if I don't believe everyone has as much conviction as I have when I say I was put on this planet to help others reach their fullest potential. That has come with a lot of work. I've had coaches. I've done, hours, hundreds of hours of yoga teacher training and yoga lessons and I've learned so much about who I am. And you don't just wake up, you're not just born that way, knowing innately who you are and what you bring to the world. So it takes a lot of work. And that's the kind of work I love. I carve out time. I'm going on a yoga retreat this next week because I carve out time where I need that reset. I need to go inward. Journaling, podcasts sometimes are helpful for it, meditation and yoga, breath work. Those things I don't do daily, but I know when I'm feeling off, that's the work that I need to be doing to recenter me. So I would say upbringing for sure has laid the foundation, and then doing that inner work to really understand who I am helped me build the confidence and the self-assuredness to be able to say, no one's a competition to me. We're in this together.
Oh my gosh, your parents, you did a great job. And I'm almost thinking of my mom, and she always said to me, it was hard raising you all. She loved it. She felt like she was on this planet for other things, but to be a mom, but she never took time for herself. And
Mhm.
now that she is, I think I can say her age, 63, I think she's 63. She's now taking time for herself. So when you became a mom, did you know, or was it told to you, Jessi, you're going to be a great mom, but make sure you take time for yourself?
Mhm. Yes, yes, for sure. Those lessons were around me. I believe that I learned the lesson though at a much younger age, um, which is rare.
Mm.
Right out of college, I became a consultant and I was traveling the country living out of a suitcase, basically moving from university to university, working with college age women, developing their leadership.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was an awesome job, but it was exhausting because I was living out of a suitcase and in an airplane every 4 days, 4 or 5 days. And I remember exactly where I was. I was at the university, Washington State University, and I remember sitting there saying, if I keep going at this pace, I can't be good to anybody. And I was working so hard and I loved the job, but I'm going to all these places around the country and I wasn't enjoying the town that I was in, the culture, the cuisine. I was just grinding out the work. And it was October of many years ago. I won't say what date, but I was probably 22 years old. And I said, I cannot keep working this way. I'm not going to work this way, and I've got to make a change. And so I was so young, but burning out, and knew that that was not the path I wanted to be on. And so I started focusing then on energy management versus time management. And that has helped me as I have become a mom, become an entrepreneur, and really taking stock on what gives me energy and what depletes me, and how can I get less of what depletes me on my calendar and more of what really fills me up. And I love being a mom. I, like many other moms, love being with their kid and also need time away from their kid. And so being able to give myself what I need, and yeah, I won't lie, if I didn't have such a supportive partner, it would be a lot harder. I am so fortunate that he believes in what I'm doing and recognizes that I need time for me, just as he needs time for him. And we balance that out, say on the weekends. I take Saturday morning with Elle and we do a mommy daughter morning. He takes Sunday morning with Elle so that we each get that time to kind of do our own thing and refill our cup. So it's balance is in again in that definition. My how I balance or what balance looks like to me may be very different to what it looks like for you. I have to hold firm boundaries. I do not check email and do much work after 5 because Elle is home and I want to be with her. And I don't want her to ever think that mommy chose work over me. I want her to see me doing something I love. But I want to spend that time with her because time is so fleeting when they're small. And and then on the weekends, I really don't do a whole lot of work either. I try to stay within that 9 to 5, despite my, entrepreneurship being all over the place. So yeah, I listen to my body. I listen to the energy and really key into that and really think about again, what do I want to do versus what is society or others telling me I should be doing. If that word should comes up often for me, that's a gut check to say, Jessi, you're working too hard.
Mm.
Do less. Do more of what you want, do less of what you don't want.
Yeah. You are, you need to be a keynote speaker. I'm just like drawn into your words. I'm like, yes, you're talking to me. And I'm thinking about, oh,
Hmm.
that's what, like, you've always been driven. But
Yeah.
having not only a child, but a girl
Hmm.
watching her mom, does that drive you in each and every aspect that you do? I mean, you named Habitual
Yeah.
after her. I mean,
Hmm.
tell us about that connection of mommy and daughter and your
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So it's funny because there was a period of time where Connor and I were not sure we wanted to have kids. We were so happy just living life. And then our friends started having kids, and we're like, okay, well, we can have one. We'll do one. And so the moment I realized when I found out we were having a girl, I just was overcome with emotion because I knew it just aligned. It was right. And I'm sure having a little boy would have been wonderful and he would have been raised a little feminist himself, but having a girl was just the gift that I wanted. And so being able to there's a lot we can't control
Yeah.
happening in our lives right now and a lot that is very negative and hard. Very hard. It feels like every day something more is falling through our hands as women. And there are days where you're like, oh, do I still want to do this? This is so hard. It feels like such an uphill battle. But the minute I see her with her wild and crazy hair, very curly, wild hair in the morning, I think, yep, keep going
Mm.
because her future depends on the work that I am doing and the work of women like you and what we are doing in the world. And so she is my daily reminder that this work is important. And so I'm lucky to have this daily reminder and again wanting her to be proud of her mom. You were at the habitual party back in the fall. And the next morning after the party, I said, Elle, what was your favorite part of last night? And she said, Mommy. And so, like, she is absorbing what I'm doing. She is watching me lean into, she's always like, Mom, do you have to go to yoga today? Of course, she wants me to stay home, but she's seeing that I'm giving myself the gift of yoga and giving it to others. And so, never underestimate the power of what little kids are taking in and how that is shaping who she is. And so I can only imagine the impact that she will have in
Mm.
her future based off of the way that we're raising her. And she's a Scorpio, so I know she's bound and determined to take on the world.
You are, you said so many key things. The importance of, just in this entire interview, the importance of having a supportive partner, you tapping into yourself.
Hmm.
I just, Jessi, we need, like, everybody needs a friend, a best friend like Jessi. Like, how, what's the question? How, Jessi, I just feel like you do so much, but I love how you equally pour back into yourself.
Mm.
And I love how you tell Elle things, but she's watching you do
Hmm.
those things. I think a lot of times when we learn, it's not by what was said to us, but what we watch.
Hmm.
What is the goal for Habitual?
Hmm.
Where do you see it going?
Yeah. So you're asking the question at a really great time because after 2.5 years of the storytelling platform, it it is time to take Habitual to the next level. And the next level looks like creating spaces for women to come together. Folks have been asking me for 2.5 years, can you have more events? And for the longest time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be an events planner. But I started reframing it and giving it a different narrative. And it's creating spaces for community, connection, learning, and growth. And I believe that I am meant to be a community builder. And so creating these spaces that allow folks to come together, to learn from each other, to support women-owned businesses, and curating these opportunities for small groups to come together and really feel the power of the feminine energy and the connection that we have here in Philadelphia. So we're going to continue storytelling. I need to expand and want to expand where and how we get those stories out to the world, events and programs, bringing people together. And then again, listening to my body, the market, what people are asking for, and expanding when it feels like the right fit to continue growing. I don't create things just because I want to do them necessarily. I do want to do these things, but people are also asking for these things. And so constantly listening to what others are seeking and creating what people want and what's going to give them energy. So that's where the storytelling platform is going. Of course, on my coaching side, I'm excited to launch the second round of the Inner Circle, which is a group coaching program. And that is, again, an intimate gathering. So a max of 5 people in that cohort that experience one-on-one coaching and group coaching over 12 months. And it's not business coaching necessarily. It can help your business, but it's really that hard inner work, which is where the inner circle gets its name. So we start the first session, group session, we talk about fear and fear, how it shows up in our lives and how it's an inhibitor to our success. And so it's these deep topics that get people to pull back the layers and force them to go inward so that they can find their true north and start living that life that is more fulfilling to them versus just continuing to grind out that 9 to 5 job. Well, is that making you happy? If it is, that's great. Maybe you need a hobby on the side or something else that fills your cup because our careers cannot be the only thing that fills us up. So looking forward to launching that. And I'm also partnering with another community member, and we're offering mom circles. So the opportunity for career-driven moms to come together as a place for connection and support, because it is hard. And there are times where I even think like, maybe I should just be a stay-at-home mom. And I don't want to say just as though that is not a hard job. It is probably the hardest job, but I get fulfillment out of working out of the house. And so how do we support each other in creating that space for women who do work outside of the home and want to remain ambitious and driven and also be a good mom?
Mhm.
So that's kind of what's in 2025. Where it goes after that is the story is to be told. But again, just following the energy and kind of seeing where it goes and where it takes me. And as new ideas come up, decide if that's the right one for me and for this platform.
Elle is just so blessed to have you as a mom. Oh my gosh.
It's not easy. Listen, every day is a journey. And again, it's about the community. It's about asking for help. It's about listening to what I want to do. There are days that are really, really hard being a mom, and it's tough, but it's how you get recentered. And so it's a daily practice of recentering. And I sleep. I try 8 hours a night. That is my key to my success, is getting very good sleep. And it's hard with a kid who doesn't always want to sleep 8 hours a night. So I don't want to ever say that I'm doing this and it's flawless, because that is far from the truth.
Mhm.
It is a constant daily reassessment, and that works for me. And then a yoga retreat here and there to keep me to keep me grounded.
I love that. You know, I'm like drawn into the computer as you're talking. I know people are watching this, listening, and they're like, Jessi, I need you to coach me. Jessi, I want you to interview me. How can I find Jessi? Tell
Yep.
them, please.
Yes, well, I'm all over the socials as far as Instagram and LinkedIn. You can find me and Habitual on there. And I also have a website, habitualleadership.com, that desperately needs some updating because, again, I think I took the humble route. It's time to really share more of the story. But again, part of 2025 is really taking up more space and getting out there. And that's why I'm so grateful to be able to share my story, because I'm usually the one on the other side. So I am so grateful for you welcoming me on here and getting to share what is most important to me.
You know, I am so grateful for you because you are very inspirational, not only to females, period, but not only to moms, but for somebody like me who's not yet a mom and feeling very comfortable and almost empowered that once I have children, that you have created a network for me to be seen, to be heard, to know that it's okay to sort of live day by day, to reset myself, to have goals and to have a mission, but you just give peace, you give acceptance, but you give strength too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, your parents did a great job. You did a great job. Um, Elle, when you get older, I know you're going to write a book about your mom. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Everybody, tap into Jessi. She is phenomenal. You are going to, I feel centered. I feel like I need to change the world right now just talking to her.
You can.
Yeah,
You will.
yeah.
You are.
And you are too. And thank you for listening to the energy inside of you and helping others, because you did not have to do that.
Right.
So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. You're the best.
Everybody, you're the best. This is Jessi Sheridan, and I'm just going to end with not only thank you for joining us,
Welcome.
I'm going
Thank
to
you.
end with habitual. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast. Remember, each conversation brings us closer to a world where compassion thrives. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's keep the heartbeat of humanity alive. Subscribe, share, and be a part of our journey to make a difference, one conversation at a time. Until next time, keep your hearts open, your minds curious, be a blessing to others, and give agape love. God bless.